Therapy isn't just listening. It's an art skill.
Yeah.
It's an artful skill because you have to know the right timing to say the right thing and the right intervention and how to apply it in a way that's relatable to your client. And that's something that I don't think
That was
AI
smooth.
can really account for,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's true. It really is true. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I could be a therapist. I listen to people all day. I was like,
know,
yeah,
right?
that's kind of not what we do. It's a little bit more to it than that. But I think that that's that human approach is really understanding.
Welcome back to another episode of Finally Motivated. Today I'm joined by Vanessa Woods. She is a licensed professional counselor. She's representing South Jersey Coping Clinic, and she's on a mission to transform mental health. Vanessa Woods, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. So you are on a mission to transform mental health.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It means so many different things, and I think that it's ever evolving. But I think in the space that I'm at right now, what it means is finding a way to meet clients where they are in a way that's not intimidating. So what that looks like for me in my practice at South Jersey Coping Clinic is being able to offer a variety of different services in one space. Most of the people that come to us are women that are very busy. They're moms, they're executives, they are boss babes, and they don't have time to travel to a million different places in order to have some self-care and time to their self. And so the space that I'm creating at South Jersey Coping Clinic is really a space that allows for them to get all of their needs met in one space. So we have the yoga, we have the massage, we have the reiki, and then we have therapy, right? So it's everything kind of just centralized in one hub in one space. And that really can be a transformative experience for many of the people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you created this because it definitely seems like there's a great need for it. But can you tell me why Vanessa started this?
Ooh, it's really interesting because for me, I kind of started it as a way to just give back in a way that I wasn't really seeing being done. So I've kind of worked in many different levels of care when it comes to mental health. So I worked in psychiatric hospitals, I worked in the prison, I worked, in IOP, so a variety of different placements inside schools. And one of the things that I felt was really missing was that human touch, right? So everything just kind of seemed more like a system. And I felt like a lot of the clients were kind of taken out of the picture and it wasn't really client focused.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to create something that would do that. And so I started my own practice just looking to fill a need. And what happened, interestingly enough, when I finally got enough courage to step out and start my own practice, COVID happened. It was literally maybe a couple of weeks before the shutdown.
Really?
Yeah, that I started my practice.
Usually
which was,
people get the courage during COVID.
I know. I got it before. And the crazy part was like the world shut down. So I was like, oh no, I just took this lease. I just did all these things.
Oh, man.
And now I can't really do too much with it. So there was a lot of pivoting happening, at the time. And I really had to think really quickly on my feet. But I got to learn so much about like this mental health community and myself as a practitioner. And what started out as a solo gig, something that I just wanted to do for myself in a way to kind of give back to the community, grew because I was getting so many calls for people who needed services during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was referring to these different places. Like, I can't possibly see all of these people. I was working crazy hours, just trying to like fill the need. At one point, I think I was working about like 70, 80 hours a week.
Wow.
It was wild.
This is what entrepreneurship really
it
looks
was
like.
literally wild. 70, 80, because, you know, when you're first starting, you're all of the things.
Everything.
You're everything.
Yeah.
You know, so I started referring out to different places, but then people would come back and they would say, hey, those 3 places that you referred me to, all of them are booked and I'm on a waiting list. So if I'm going to be on a waiting list, I might as well just wait to see you. So I was like, okay, but I can't do this like forever on my own. And so I started to get help. And that's just kind of how South Jersey Coping Clinic just bloomed, just based out of the necessity and the need that's still there for mental health services.
Yeah. So how did you get started with being a counselor in just this field, this industry in general?
Ooh, by happenstance. So I'm an immigrant, right?
Where
so
you
that
from?
Liberia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm from West Africa.
That's
so
some
that's
cool Liberia friends.
yeah, so
Liberians.
that's usually like a fact that many people don't know about me. But I'm Liberian, and so in our culture, you know, your parents pretty much tell you what you're going to do, you know? Exactly.
You're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, which
Precisely. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a doctor. I mean, I like science, so why not? And I like helping people. So I always thought I was going to be a pediatrician. I love kids. I was great with kids. You know, I already had it like written, I guess, in my cards that I was supposed to be a doctor. But when I got to school and I was doing like the prerequisites or my pre-med classes, organic chemistry gave me the hardest time.
Me too. It's like, you know that it could be something that you could learn, but you don't want to.
No, I didn't.
Right?
I was just not interested. And then, you know, all these like calc-based physics classes, when you get to a point where your math equations are more letters than there are numbers,
I know.
I was like, yeah, nah, this ain't for me. So I noticed pretty quickly that this just wasn't something that my heart was into. And so I started to just take a couple of electives just to kind of like buy me more time, trying to prepare to tell my mom that I'm not going to be this doctor that she wants me to be. And it was
looking out for her mental health.
Listen, I was definitely looking for hers and mine. For hers and mine.
I've done that.
But I took this psychology class, this abnormal psych class, and I was just hooked. It was just so interesting to me. And I was like, oh, I want to learn more. I want to learn more about just like people and how they work and how they think and society and culture and like what dictates it. It was just so very interesting to me. And it just like a light bulb kind of went off. And so I like switched, you know, to psychology. And so in my mom's mind, she thought, okay, psychiatrist, that's still a doctor, so we're still good. You know what I mean? So it involved me a little bit more time until I finally had to break the news to her that I wanted to be an actual therapist. And, you know, in African culture, like therapy really isn't a thing.
Taboo,
like they don't really understand it.
They undervalue it. I think.
Or they don't understand the value in it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like so many of them could benefit because most of the folks who ended up in America, a lot of family members and different things like that, they all suffered a lot of trauma because what brought us here was the Civil War, right? That broke out. And so all of that PTSD, a lot of them deal with, they don't even recognize that that's what it is.
But it's there.
But it's there, and it's there heavy, right? But they don't recognize the value on that because it isn't something that's prioritized, because it wasn't ever something that was really spoken about or treated in that same way. So it's been really interesting, but I would say that's really kind of how everything started with me. Yeah.
I think, so when I started going to therapy, though, it was around COVID.
Yeah.
Right. And I was going through a crisis, it felt like, because I couldn't move. I couldn't, like, mentally, I just felt stuck.
Yeah.
And It was very frustrating because I was always doing a million things, and with everything shutting down and all of my roles just overlapping, and there's no end or start. It's just I'm always just a father, a husband, a worker, and investor. It's
Yep.
just a lot, and it was just bad. But then, after seeing the benefits of it for myself, I started like just being more comfortable expressing and telling more people that I do this. I go there, and it's amazing, because I look at myself in everyone, right? And I may have needed that message from someone that was vulnerable enough to express it, so that
Yeah.
I can have the mindset shift to say, you know what, that's something that maybe I wasn't thinking about before, but why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that awareness is very important. Now, you could do so many different things. You could do anything, right? And I think there are certain things that you just gravitate towards more. When someone asks a younger person, like someone in college, typically, one of the most common answers, "What do you want to do?" "I want to help people," right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
we all say.
Yeah.
"I want
Yeah.
to help people,"
Yeah.
but the way that you help people, there's different avenues and paths that you can take. And for some reason, you were attracted to the path of helping people in the sense of mental health. Why do you think that was attractive to you?
I think just my upbringing and my experiences, like seeing how certain members of my family and or community responded and acted, and how that then had a trickle down effect, like on kids and generations, or just on relationships. I think that that was always something that was interesting to me. And I think that the mind is so powerful, and we're just starting to learn just how very powerful it is. And I think that for me, I don't know, it's always been something that's been of interest. I think, going back to your point where you were talking about, like, in school, if you ask kids what they want to be, they have some idea, but it isn't necessarily something that's taught or cultivated.
Yeah.
It's like we teach you how to take tests, right?
And fit in a box.
And fit in a box, and then we release you out in the world, and we're like, why aren't you productive citizens?
Right.
Like, why aren't you doing more with your life? Well, maybe because nobody taught us how to do that. We're taught teaching kids about, like, math and English, and yeah, that's important
We're
too.
not taught to explore.
Yeah, and how to live life really and fully. Yeah.
That's something that's missing so badly. I think my period of exploration really started during college, where I started reading so many books, and I was just meeting so many different people from different walks of life, and I just thought to myself, I was robbed of this. How did I not? You live like that, and it was just so wild to me to see, but it was also very useful, because we start out with software basically that's installed in us. We're not choosing what religion or what school we go to or where we live. It's our parents say this is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? They do the best that they can, and we just happen to be there. And then we start understanding, how else can we perceive the world? How else can we live? And what other decisions can we make for our future?
Yeah.
And so I know that with someone like yourself, who is very deeply interested in the way that people think and act and behave and all of that, there has to be, I'm assuming there has to be many different periods of wow, aha moments, breakthrough moments, where you looked at the world one way, and then you looked at it completely differently.
Yeah.
What were some of those breakthrough moments for you that you can share?
I think breakthrough moments happen more often than not. And not to kind of like skirt around the question, but I feel like one of the best things that ever happened to me was growing up in a community where there were a lot of different people, lots of different types of people. Like our parents always used to call us the United Nations, because it was somebody represented from everywhere. And so very early on, I was exposed to a lot of different cultures and and foods and religions and celebrations, and it was so beautiful. And so I feel like just having that proximity to difference helped me shape my way of thinking, and constantly does. It constantly offers new perspectives in the interactions and conversations that I have with other people. Like, there are a lot of aha moments I have just around the dinner table with like friends for a birthday. You know, we talk about anything and everything, like in our circle. And so when we're talking and having discussions, I might come into the conversation thinking one way, and then other people might offer different, perspectives and trains of thoughts, and I might leave, the conversation another way. So I feel like these aha moments happen all of the time, and I feel like it's probably due to like the exposure that I have to different kinds of people.
I agree, because the aha moments come when you make space for something new.
Yeah.
Like a new perspective.
Exactly.
And sometimes we have such a guard up that we don't think that we can learn something. And so it seems like you've been able to make space for that and say, you know what, I can humbly learn something from this.
Oh yeah. I don't think anybody could ever get to a space where they feel like, oh yeah, I know
good.
all of the things, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of hate the term like expert.
Yeah.
Because who is really an expert, really?
We're all figuring it out.
Like even when you think you have all of the knowledge, right? Things like AI come out and they just shift your whole world.
I know. Oh my goodness. That's wild.
Yeah.
Or you master one AI tool and then the next one tomorrow comes out and it just demolishes it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely growing at a rapid pace, and I think we'll need a lot more of like services like yours.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it's overwhelming. It's too fast, I think. And we've never been in this space before.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like in a bubble, like an experiment.
Yeah.
Where we don't know what it's going to be like, how it's going to affect us and our children, our behaviors and our relationships. Is that something that you think that you think of much?
I do, and I feel like I've heard it so much, especially after, things like ChatGPT and deep fakes and all of these other things. People are really afraid of it. But for me, I feel like there's nothing new under the sun. I feel like life just kind of happens in cycles and patterns. I feel like with every new invention, there's a lot of angst, right? Like with the car industry, when that came out, like with Ford, with the internet, like when that came out, like there's always going to be some level of panic.
Streaming.
Yeah, right. And I feel like with any new thing, there's always those advantages and disadvantages. And I feel like AI is going to be one of those things. Granted, AI has been around for a very long time, right? But this generative AI is like what most people are like starting to learn more about. And that's what's developing at a very rapid rate. But like I said, there's advantages and disadvantages with it.
Yeah. And so what is with everything happening, and nothing really is new under the sun, it just has different faces and different skin. What are some things that are core that is usually a good way to cope with the anxiety of things happening externally?
I feel like it really just depends on what it is, because I don't know that there's like a one size fits all when it comes to coping. It depends on the person and what they're trying to cope with.
That's true.
Right? Like coping through grief and loss might look a lot different than coping through anxiety. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on like what we're talking about and who it is that requires that skill set. Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between coping and thriving?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't necessarily know that they're mutually exclusive, right? I think some might hear the term coping and think just getting by, right? Like just making it through. But there are certain things in our lives that may never go away.
Yeah.
Like loss is one of those things, right? Like when you lose somebody, there is no like, oh, okay, like it's over. Like there's this definitive, you're always going to miss that person, and therefore it requires you to be able to find a means of dealing with whatever emotion and challenges are coming up to be able to kind of like work through it, right? But I feel like that is a form of thriving when you've mastered those skills, when you can go internally and say, ooh, this is what I'm dealing with, or this is how this thing shows up in my life. And because of the skills I've acquired, I know I can do X, Y, and Z, or I know I can receive support from this person or this place. That then allows me to thrive because I can live my life in such a way where those things don't hold me back or keep me stagnant.
Yeah. I love that. So it seems like there's a lot of value that you also receive from doing the work that you do.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So we know why you started it. Why do you keep doing it through the ups and downs, the challenges of just being an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
I think the people, I think the impact. I just know like this is what I'm supposed to do, because there are moments where I'm just like, throw the whole thing away. Like this week, nope, I don't want to do it no more. Like cancel all my sessions, shut down the building. Like I'm wrapping it up, I'm done. And then I get an email that says, man, that session that we just had, like it really helped me. This is what I needed, for the day. Or, somebody will come in my office crying and they'll walk away by the end of the session, like feeling a weight, like you can literally see the weight like melting off their shoulders, and them saying like, this is what I needed, or without therapy, I wouldn't have been able to save my marriage, or without therapy, I wouldn't have been able to like break these cycles with my kids, or whatever it is. Like those moments are what keep me going, because I know how necessary it is for helpers in this form to kind of show up within the community, especially in this time.
Yeah. And how do you feel when someone tells you that?
I feel like sometimes it's like an out of body experience. Like it doesn't even feel like, it's hard for me to take it in.
Yeah.
And I've been working on that personally, like to take in compliments, like from our clients. But I think also it is a good reminder for me that like, yeah, this is absolutely where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
We need those reminders. Validation is so important.
Yeah, it is.
Because you believe in a vision for yourself as an entrepreneur by yourself first. And in order for you to continue to keep going, you need to feel some validation from other people that they also believe it.
Yeah.
We need to see evidence of the faith that you have in it, really. And that comes from the action and other people recognizing, you know what? I like that.
Yeah.
So the more that we do get that, I think it does make sense that despite any challenges that you may go through, I don't know if there's been any challenges.
Ooh, have there?
Has it been easy?
Oh my God, we could go on for days. How long we got?
Give us the cliff notes.
Oh my God, I mean, everything that could have gone wrong has went wrong in this business. Seriously, everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. It has not been a perfect nor a smooth ride at all. At all. Having to learn like how to fly the plane at the same time you're building it is very difficult. And that was very much so my experience, right? Because going into this, I really didn't have a lot of mentorship, at least not the same level of mentorship that I do now, right? I didn't have a lot of insight as to what it means to not only have a business, but run it effectively. I was just out here making terrible decisions.
But you need that, right? So
making terrible decisions, but I think it definitely has not been, a perfect ride. It's been full of many, many challenges. Like when we talk about trial by fire, that was it. For sure.
What kept you going through the ups and downs where you still believed that it would work out, even before you got the mentors?
I think two things. God, that's like first and foremost for me. Like, definitely felt like that was where I drew a lot of my strength and energy from, and the confirmations that God would always send me, like in those moments where I was just like, throw the whole thing away, like I'm done, right? And I think the other part is my supports. When I would go to them like, man, I'm so done. I can't do this. How could this happen? I'll never recover from this. They were like, no, you got this. I'll, and then they would share stories with me. And I was like, oh, so you mean this happens to other people too? It's not just a me thing. And they would say, no, like, here's what happened, with me, or here's what happened in this situation or with this business. And so it really just helped to shed light on the fact that, like, a lot of us suffer a lot in silence, thinking we need to be embarrassed because we've messed up or things haven't gone the way that we would have anticipated them to go. But when I get around like these other like-minded individuals who are doing the same thing or maybe different things, right? Other entrepreneurs, they've been really supportive and just kind of like breathing life back into me. And that really has been a saving grace. Yeah.
So how do you build that aligned community for yourself?
Yeah. I think for me, it was just built out of necessity, but also intentionality. I didn't realize how many people were readily available to say yes. I always assumed the answer would be no. Yeah, I always assumed that people were too busy or I couldn't afford to or whatever the excuse that I gave myself. I always assumed that people would not want to be invested in like that mentorship or that sense of community. But I just started to reach out, right? I adopted the mindset of, well, I can ask, right? And all they can say is no. And if they say no, am I worse off like than I am now? I'm still in the same predicament. Nothing changes, so I might as well shoot my shot and see what happens. And so I reached out to a couple of people on social media. I attended networking events, and I've been able to really like have some pretty solid connections just built out of those circumstances. Yeah.
That's awesome. One of my mentors used to say, never say no for the client.
Exactly.
And I would do that so much until he said that. Why did you assume negative?
That's a really great question. I think it's probably, built in some sort of story that I would tell myself that people were so busy, right? Like if I see somebody who I think is successful and just has like a lot of different moving parts, my assumption was like, they're not gonna have time to sit here and talk to me about you know what I mean, they got money to make, things to do, babies to kiss, like all these things, so
gotta kiss the babies.
Exactly.
It's a lot of babies.
So I was just like, they're not gonna have time for this. Like, I barely have time. And I think it was projection, honestly.
That's what it was for me.
It was projection, because I'm like, listen, I don't even got time for myself right now. So I can't even imagine like them having time. They got a lot more going on that I got, and I'm over here drowning. So I can't even imagine them being able to make the space for this. But they did.
They did. Another one of my mentors with real estate investing, actually, he was telling us that you need different groups of people around you. You need someone that's further along than you, like much further along that you can learn from.
Mm-hmm.
You need peers that are going through the same thing that you're going through right now. And then you need someone that you can teach and mentor.
Yeah.
And then you have a more well-rounded approach to like navigating your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a cycle. You feed others, others feed into you.
Yes.
And the way that I look at it is, I need to teach
Mm-hmm.
and mentor
Mm-hmm.
and lift someone up
Mm-hmm.
for my edification.
Yeah.
Because the more you teach, the more you actually learn and grow.
Yeah.
And so once that connected for me, I thought to myself, who needs to teach me something? You know what I mean? Because I need to learn.
Yes.
You need to teach.
Yeah.
So let's just match it up.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't feel like anyone is losing any time.
Yeah.
We actually want to be here.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I like that perspective a lot.
Yeah. So I constantly look for that alignment,
Yeah.
like with friends,
Yeah.
with business partners and clients,
Mm-hmm.
because we only got 24 hours in a day,
Yeah.
and we don't know how long our lives will be.
Yeah.
And so we do have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
And but it's easier said than done.
100%. And that 24 hours is really like 8.
Yeah.
Because you count sleeping,
If even.
eating, driving.
I know. Relaxing. You need a mental
Yeah,
break.
exactly.
Going to the coping clinic. You know what I mean? You need some time for that.
You know, by the time you subtract all those hours, you really got about like 6 good ones.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild. So you mentioned that one of the things that you wanted to innovate on was the human touch.
Yeah.
What does that mean, and what does that look like for you?
I think it's that thing that is what's going to keep therapy alive in the spirit of like technology and AI. Like in our field right now, this is a hot button topic where folks think, oh my gosh, AI is going to replace us. And I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
And I really don't know too many people that rather talk to a robot than to talk to an actual human person.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy isn't just listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art skill.
Yeah.
It's an artful skill because you have to know the right timing to say the right thing and the right intervention and how to apply it in a way that's relatable to your client. And that's something that I don't think AI can really account for, but it's true. It really is true. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I could be a therapist. I listen to people all day. I was like, yeah, right? That's kind of not what we do. It's a little bit more to it than that. But I think that that's that human approach, is really understanding and learning the person that you're sitting across from, whether that be virtually or in person, and tailoring, you know, your approach in a way that's going to meet them. So like for me, I had a client that started out and was just very, very like against therapy. Those are my favorite ones, though. I was like, I'm gonna make you a believer by the end of this, you know. But they were just not at all open to therapy. They didn't really believe in it, but they're like, I'm here, you know. And so traditional talk therapy, just coming in and talk about your feelings and processing your thoughts, wasn't really working for them. So I found out that this person really, really liked and enjoyed music.
Okay.
So I was like, bet.
This is
so
interesting.
now I
music.
took music, I took lyrics, you know, to like some of their favorite artists and songs, and we broke it down, and we started to talk about like, oh, okay, like, so this is how you're feeling based on what? Like first we made it about the song and interpreting the song and what it meant, and then we related it back to like their life and what they were going through, and then that's how we started to build our relationship through our time together in therapy. And that's how they started to like open up more, right? But had I just been like, well, nah, you got to talk to me, we would have never made any progress. They would have just looked at me like, this lady is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't like therapy. Right? So that's what I mean by the human touch, is making it relatable, making it valuable to the person that's receiving it. Right? And I feel like robots can't really account for that.
No, they have limitations for sure.
Yeah.
I think there are things that you can choose to do and learn.
Yeah.
And there are things that it's easier for you because you have certain strengths, like some inner strengths that are just natural for you, that you're just enhancing and practicing. What are some of those strengths that make you that provide you with that flexibility to say, oh, you need this, let me pivot. Oh, you need that, let me be a good listener and be an active listener. What are some of those strengths that you think are natural to you that you're just fine tuning?
Yeah, I think two things. I'm a very right brain person, so I'm very creative. Like creating like visions, ideas, thought patterns, like those things come very easy, very natural to me. So like picking up on new languages, decorate, like anything creative, I'm really, really, really like good at. And then I would say I'm very much so intuitive. Like I'm very much so in tune to people. Like I read people very well and very easily. And I think that also is probably what like pulled me to being a counselor. But those two things for sure.
Yeah. It's the same for me.
Yeah.
I like even with this.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm freestyling.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I'm in the zone a little bit. It's like a cipher.
Yes.
You know, so I love the volley because to me it's creative. Like the conversation could have just stopped at, what do you do, Vanessa? You know, all right, thanks for stopping by, you know. But no, it's more than that. You are a multi-layered human that has navigated through so many different experiences, and it is an art form to be able to like put myself in your shoes. I'm very interested in that. And I think that stems from like, one of my inner strengths is empathy. And I can be empathetic to a fault.
Yeah.
I know that.
Oh, trust me, I get it.
Because it can be overwhelming.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'm very picky with who is around me.
Yeah.
Because I will absorb your energy.
Yeah. But that's real though.
Yeah.
That's really real. Like you can really take on like the emotions and feelings of other people. And so you have to be selective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm getting good vibes from you. So
Yay!
You passed the vibe test. The vibe check.
Check.
So how do you make space for other people? Because you have to be able to be flexible in a way, and also at some level leave a little bit of who you are at the door, so that you can make space for who this person is when they come in the door.
Yeah, I feel like it depends, right? I feel like is it a client? Is it like a friend, right? Because making space kind of looks different depending on the environment that I'm in. But I also come from the ideology that like two things can exist at once. So I don't have to leave who I am at the door. I can bring that with me, right? Like I can be who I am simultaneously while you are who you are, and we can coexist in this space together. And I feel like holding space and making space for someone is exactly that, just allowing them to show up authentically. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Because I, like, in the past, I've completely ignored myself.
Yeah.
And then later on, I discovered boundaries. And that was big.
Yes.
That was so big for me. And I'm still learning how to apply it to different situations, because I actually really love myself and I want to show more of who I am to people. But at the same time, because I've been operating in one way, it's been a challenge where I'm still trying to grow and see, what does this look like though? You know? So that's been some of my journey. It's been tough, but it's interesting. Yeah.
When did you learn that you had to like start instituting boundaries into your life?
When I thought about the trajectories that I wanted to maintain, like I have goals and I have different things that I want to, different places that I want to get to, and I knew that I don't have a lot of bandwidth to work with. Like, compared to other people that I meet and I talk to. My mind is constantly filled with decisions, with what I'm eating and drinking, because I have type 1 diabetes that I manage. And then I also manage the ADHD, where I need to have certain structures and guide rails so that I can stay on task. And I realized that the more that I lose control of who is influencing my energy, my emotions, the less that I have control of that, the less that I have control of my path and my journey and what I even do throughout the day, because one experience can throw me off.
Yeah.
So I had to institute boundaries where, yes, I can be your landlord, but I need buffer, because I cannot spend 2 hours listening to a conversation that I did not plan for.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
So it became very real to me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm saying yes to this, I'm saying no to something else. I'm saying no to my wife, my kids, my goals, like the my business. And that's when I started realizing I'm spending, I'm paying for my therapy sessions, and I'm spending a lot of time talking about like tenants and things that I can do something about.
Yeah.
And I got other things to talk about.
Yeah.
So I had in order to make space for that, I had to create boundaries, and it was tough for me.
It is tough. Why do you feel like it was hard though?
I think I like when people see me for who I think for the way that I intend to be. Right? And so it's almost like I want to prove myself. And one of those reasons is because I want to still maintain control of my options.
Yeah.
If you perceive me as someone that I'm not, that limits my options.
I love that insight. I love that. That's dope that you were able to like come to that conclusion. Yeah, that's dope. I like that. I don't think I've ever heard it phrased like that.
I'm a deep thinker.
No, I don't think I've ever heard it phrased like that. That's really insightful.
And that's how I am. I think growing up, I would look at very loving people, and they would have a lot of different insights and perspectives for the world, and they would tell me how I should live my life. And I always looked at it like, okay, I'll give it a chance, but first let me look at your life to see if I even want that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's when I started realizing I think I need to be the quarterback, for myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because you may be on the field and someone in the bleachers tells you, throw the ball to number 8, throw it to, and you're looking at, like, you could just blindly on autopilot just listen to the person on the bleachers, but they don't see that number 2 is right there. And that would be the better decision. And so it's not like a personal thing. It's just understanding that everyone is busy living their own lives. So after they dump something on you, or after they try to help you in the best way that they can, they're now moving on to taking their next breath. And thinking about what else comes onto their mind. So I never take that personally. I take it as notification. I see it. Does it apply? No.
No, but that's very real, because your perception is going to be very different. Your perspective is going to be very different based off of where you're seated, right? Right? And also, like, based on the role that you have to play.
For sure.
Right? Like, being on the bleachers is a lot different than actually playing in a game. You know what I mean? Everything looks great and super easy.
Exactly. But you wouldn't with me shooting in the gym.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, for real. That's really real. Like I'm always screaming at the TV whenever my husband and we watch sports. And we're both like really big into like sports, particularly like basketball,
Okay.
football.
Yeah.
And so whenever like we see certain things, we're like, man, how you missed that
Right?
so easy. Like, but you know, it's so easy to say because I'm not the one who has like 4 other guys. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
guarding me,
Exactly.
blocking me. It's easier to say that from that perspective than it is on the other side of things, for sure.
But now imagine one of those NBA players, they listen to Vanessa. Not that you're bad at giving directions, but let's say they listen to Vanessa and then they say, I missed the shot. Vanessa, what you mean?
Yeah, that's real.
We would still blame them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you was on the field. You were on the court.
You was the one shooting.
You were the one shooting.
You was the one shooting.
You should have shot it better. I gave you good instruction. You should have shot it better. You know, so it's like someone might give you the play.
Yeah.
Someone might give you the right business plan,
Yeah.
but it might not be right for you.
100%.
I believe that the biggest differentiator between like a successful business and just a business that doesn't really go anywhere is the person. You can like, you're the biggest differentiator in the success of the business. How you manage your life and the decisions that you make, the energy that you're able to provide to that business versus what other things that you do. And so the more that you're confident in yourself, the more that you can actually confidently move through the right decisions for your business. But how do people build that confidence?
Confidence, this is something that actually comes up a lot with the women that I work with. I feel like confidence is one of those things people automatically attribute to like genetics, right? Like you just wake up
You woke up
confidence,
like this.
right? Like I woke up like this, exactly. Yeah. Shout out to Queen Bee.
Right.
But like that's really what people think it is. Like you just either have it or you don't. But no, confidence is something that gets instilled in us by seeing ourselves being successful at it once at least, right? Because at least if we see ourselves doing it once, we know that there's a probability that we could probably do it again.
Yeah.
So in building that confidence, you have to practice, right? Like an NBA player doesn't just step on the court thinking they're amazing because they played in like one pickup basketball game at the gym, right? Like they did this thing over and over and over again. And so they know like, I can do this. Like I know what I'm capable of because I see myself do it. And I think that that's the thing that stops a lot of people from being great and building their confidence is they're afraid to try. But like that is the thing, the trying and the failing and then the improving is what is going to map you for success, because now you know how to not do it. Now you can revamp your game plan and then work on practicing so you can get better and better and better. And that's what's going to help you build your confidence.
I think a lot of us, we don't realize that all of us are practicing. And entrepreneurship is a journey of self-discovery, really. And oftentimes the most powerful businesses that we see, the unstoppable businesses where you could, like this person would do it for free. You know what I mean? Like those types of businesses, it's because someone believed in themselves, they believed in themselves because they know themselves so much that now they're providing value that other people would also want. But in order for them to, when you see someone that wants the thing that you also wanted, you're finding a bit of yourself in that person. Oh, you wanted that too. Like for me, I'm doing this because I was my own business coach. Walking in the park by myself, just asking myself, okay, where am I? Where do I want to go? What's missing? What do I need? Who can I connect with? And I needed that. And so I look for a little bit of myself because I don't look in the mirror that much. I look at other people. And so I see, oh, you need that too? I'm finding a little bit of myself. But that process of becoming more and more authentic, I think is one of the most beautiful things. It obviously looks different for everyone, but how do you get to the place where you feel like the person that you are is someone that you can love and you can get with?
I think it's a really hard question because I feel like many things, is ever evolving. I think it's natural for all of us to go through periods of time in our lives where we really love ourselves and have this great relationship with us. And then I think it's also normal to go through a reflective stage where maybe you find things about yourself that doesn't sit well with you. Maybe you're working on trying to figure out what version of yourself you're becoming or would like to become, right? And so I don't I don't I don't think that the emphasis should be placed on like being at a space where
You're done loving.
you're done being curious and exploring, right? Because I feel like self-love, yes, is great, and self-love, yes, is something that we aspire to be and aspire to do. But I also think that that curiosity about growth and recognizing certain traits or characteristics within yourself that you want to change, you want to mold,
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes when you say self-love, right? Most people might construe it as like this unconditional positive regard for every single thing and action you've ever done in your life. I don't necessarily know that I ascribe to that. I think you can look at certain instances in your life and be like, yeah, I didn't like that version of me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, and or I don't like this thing that I do and I'm trying to change it. Does that mean that you love yourself less? No. But it means like you're more self-aware.
There it is.
And so I feel like I would rather use the term self-awareness than self-love, because I feel like it hints and leans towards that curiosity that helps to either validate the good within us and help us to shift the things that are not as valuable or as good.
That's deep. I do see a lot of examples of that where there's a lot of people who aren't actually aware, but they'll just say, whatever I am, I love it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be productive in terms of growth.
Yeah. And it can be very toxic too. And sometimes it's, folks too who don't necessarily want to change or are not in a space where they're ready to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think a lot of people are gonna have an aha moment from that. So, when you think about where you are right now and all of the amazing things that you've been able to do and the impact that you have on so many different lives, do you feel like young Vanessa would say, yeah, that makes sense. I can believe that.
Yeah. I think young Vanessa would just be really excited and proud. And I definitely think that she would say, like, yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah.
I'm very much so a people person. I love being around people. I love helping people. I don't think that'll ever change. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had no limitations with money or knowledge, what's something that would come to mind for you to embark on?
Oh my God. No limitations on money or knowledge.
No.
I'd take over the world.
Easy.
I'd take over the world. Listen, I'd cure cancer. I'd cure every disease. I'd cure every mental health challenge.
First order of business.
I'd end hunger and homeless. Like, I'd end everything. What?
Wow.
I'd save the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vanessa for president.
Yeah, amen. No, I don't want that. I don't want that job.
Okay, man.
I don't want that job. That's too stressful.
Come on, Vanessa.
That's too stressful.
But the world ain't.
Listen, that's too stressful. Well, if I had all the knowledge and all of the money to make things happen,
you'd figure it out.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd figure it out.
So I someone had told me one time that I was at a networking event and I was talking to this guy and he said, you have a you have a melody about you. Like
Yeah.
it's musical in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And I really, really love music.
Oh.
And like ever since I was young,
Yeah.
it started with you know, influence in church, you know, the music in there, and then my brother and I, we started our own studio. We just started creating our own stuff.
Yeah.
And I always really wondered about the effects of music, and if it has if it's as profound as I think, you know, in like some people have the concern that, oh, if you listen to this, you're gonna be that.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to all of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Same.
I think it affects
Same.
me, but I don't
Yeah.
think it changes me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I'll listen to the rawest of you know, I'll be like, I need that for my business meeting. Because of the energy and the emotion that it brings within myself.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel? What are your thoughts on music and its effects on people?
Oh, I love music. I think music is the single most powerful connector of people, because regardless of what language it's in, regardless of where you're hearing it, when that beat turns on, it puts you somewhere. It takes you to a place. And I feel like that's so powerful because it transcends all types of barriers, right? That conversations with the leading experts in every field couldn't even do. So I feel like music can be very, very transformational and impactful on people, just as like a uniter, a connector, but just even in terms of just healing. There's a lot of research now going into different types of like sound healing. And, you know, people do things like sound baths, or people do things like a sound bed. Those are growing to be like really popular. So music is, music is the OG like healing arts for sure.
It's so wild to like, I thought about that because you mentioned that you integrated it within a session before. And it just makes you think like there's definitely something to this.
Oh yeah.
And it could have different effects with different people. And it's the same thing.
Yeah. I hear songs that I haven't heard like in 20 years, and I still remember all of the lyrics, and every single time it takes me back to like a point in time in my life, and the nostalgia from that is just healing in a sense. So
you embrace the consumption of it, but how do you express? Because you mentioned that you're very right brain. And one of your ways of expression is through your work. In a way, is there anything else that comes close, or any other ways of expression for you?
Oh, I write a lot. I've done poetry like my whole life.
I used to do a lot of poetry.
Yes, I like write a lot of poetry. Once upon a time, I thought I was gonna be like a MC Light. I was out here rap battling, writing like lyrics and stuff.
We might have to do an official cipher.
Listen, we really might have to do a cipher for real. But yeah, I used to write. I write a lot, and that's always been like an outlet for me. Sports has always been an outlet for me. I played volleyball my whole life. Recently tore my ACL last year, so I've been out of commission. So that's been really tough for me. So like anything really active, anything that allows me to like move, or my mind to think, even like interior design, anything like that. You go to any one of my offices, I did it all. But it's fun for me. I like, will do like different renovation projects and like different spaces. I actually just wrapped one. So that was really fun for me. So like anything that allows me to create a canvas, like to take nothing and then make it into something, that's an outlet for me. Whether that's like a business, whether that's a song, whether that's whatever. Like if I can take nothing and then make it into something, that for me is an outlet. And to other people it's work, and for you it's fuel. Like for me, like you see this office, like we did it. It actually could have paid gorgeous.
someone. Thank you.
It's gorgeous.
But it was like our our artwork. And it was this sense of pride within it, that's an emotion that fuels me so that I can keep going and keep doing other things.
Yeah.
And so I think it is important for people to identify what things are they attracted to, so that they can continue to do that on a consistent basis so that they don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we do things just to do it and we don't really know why.
Yeah.
So what is something that you would love for someone that sees themselves in you to hear before we end the episode, where something that you think would be very beneficial for, I'm like a young Vanessa Woods.
Yeah. I'd say take the chance. Take the chance. Do it scared, do it afraid, but just do it. Take the chance. Bet on yourself, right? Like you bet on everyone else and everyone else's dreams, and you sow into that and you work into that. But when was the last time like you actually really took a chance on yourself? The worst thing that could happen is you're right back at this very point in time.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no such thing as I don't have enough time. We find time for the things that we find important. And whether that's 5 minutes a day you get to work on the thing, or whether that's 5 hours a day, find the time, carve it out, and do it. But take that chance on yourself and, the time is going to pass regardless, right? Like 5 years is still 5 years, whether you start today, whether you start tomorrow, like just do it. Yeah. Just start. Yeah.
I like that. That's a message that I would have needed, multiple times throughout my journey.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is something that you're looking forward to?
Ooh, like business-wise or personally?
As Vanessa.
Oh, so I have a vacation plan.
Okay.
I'm definitely looking for that. Self-care, like just decompress, get away, like that. I'm definitely looking forward to. And then we have this women's wellness retreat coming up at the end of next month.
Tell us about that.
Oh,
you seem excited.
I'm so excited about it. I am so excited. Out of all of the things that we have done, this is perhaps my favorite thing. It is geared towards women and uplifting women, healing women, women just celebrating womanhood and all that encompasses it. And I was very, very, very intentional about curating this space with local small business women owners. But it's going to be a great day. It's a great day for women to just come in and melt off all the stress, all of the things that we carry, all of the things that we deal with. This is an opportunity to just check that in at the door, leave it on the side, and just come in and just kind of let your hair down. So it's going to be a day where they get to come in and just be pampered. So we'll have yoga, we'll have massage, we'll have sound baths, we'll have confidence coaching, we'll have some swag bags, a DJ. It's just going to be a dope event. I'm really excited for it. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say I wish I was a woman, but I'm happy for all the women out there.
We might have to switch up and do one for my fellas, but this one is for my ladies.
It's all good. The women can have their spot. I'm happy for it, But like I've realized that the way that our minds work is so different, and it also provides me with a deeper sense of appreciation. Because it's different from me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like when someone does something and I'm impressed by my wife.
Yeah.
In many ways that where she thinks she's just doing, she's just being, she's just living. But women typically are able to juggle a lot more.
Yeah.
Just manage a lot of different things, but that doesn't mean that they should continue to all the time.
No, we're not meant to multitask. We're meant to be present and focused on one particular thing, but because of the crazy demands of life, you
take it on. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
But then you need a retreat.
Bingo.
There you go.
May 31st, 12 to 5, Eventbrite. Not me plugging it.
No, plug it. Yeah. So how can people find you?
So they can find me online on all social media platforms at South Jersey Coping Clinic. And they can go to our website, which is www.southjerseycopingclinic.com.
Okay, and we'll put that in the description. And thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the talk.
Oh, this was great.
Really
this was
talk.
fun. Yeah, definitely.
You cool. You cool. We might have to do another one.
Yeah, we can run it back.
Yeah, we'll run it back. We'll do a creative one.
Yes.
Maybe a cipher. I don't know.
Ooh, I'm ready.
We'll
I got my pen.
All right. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Of course. Thank you.